Hello? Okay, should be working now. Right. Sorry about the technical issues. And let's take out the music now. So let me repeat what I just said with the mic off, because obviously nobody heard that. I assume the mic is working now. So welcome to the daily NFT market health analysis by me, Daniel Tenner, aka Swombat, where we look at what's happening to the market in terms of data, not just vibes. Although let's face it, the vibes are pretty strong in the market right now, and yeah, fairly solid. And the data is actually supporting the vibes, which is good. For once, things are kind of in sync. And thanks to the people who dialed in for letting me know that the mic was off. Otherwise, I probably have recorded this whole thing without the mic, and that would have been very sad. So if we look at the indices, for once, we can see that they're all going up, which is unusual, and all going up. I mean, 3 of them going up very substantially, and even the women-led projects index, which has been struggling so much for the last few weeks, last couple of months, even that, even that index is now above its 7-day SMA, and so has had a little bit of a bump. Nothing too impressive, not quite as striking as the Zeneca New or Zeneca Old or even the top 10, but it's something. It means that some spillover is happening in those projects as well. And if we look at the stacked bar charts, we can see that, yeah, there's some very solid activity here in the top 10, including some spikes, which are still basically news-driven. I mean, this light green thing there is Cool Cats, which is in the trailer that Yuga Labs just released. The dark blue there, I believe, is Gutter Cat Gang, so that's for different reasons. But still, it's no longer being driven solely by Yuga Labs in terms of volume. Other projects are seeing activity as well. And if we look in the Zeneca Old, we can see a bunch of there's a variety of projects getting some activity. And I didn't manage to preload it just yet, but if I load, no, I don't have it here. Never mind. But I even did a top 10 without, sorry, Zeneca Old without top 10, and there was still activity. So it's really not just Yuga Labs projects that are pumping now. It's also a bunch of other stuff. And, this is in Zeneca New, this is not Yuga Labs at all. And there's, several of them. And, we're seeing this activity start rotating around different projects. And that's usually what happens in a bull market. And yeah, and in the women-led projects, we're also seeing some boosts. That looks like women rather than women. No, it's fine. So let's look at the index specifically here. We've got, so yesterday I said that usually this always comes crashing down, but that there was a time when it didn't, which was back in August, when it was the bulliest of bull markets. And there it's just stayed up to these kind of volumes for weeks. And what we're seeing right now is, I said yesterday I expected it to sort of come down to about here and then sort of continue upwards from here. Well, that's not what's happening. It's come down a little bit because there was a drop in activity here. We can see this candle, sorry, this bar did move out of the index, but then these bars came in, and even with this bar moving out, it didn't actually go down as badly as I feared it might. And so the drop ended up being a lot less than I anticipated, and then it's gone back up because of the Cool Cats and other things that have started pumping. And if we look at the long-term perspective, we can see that we're squarely in the region that we were in at the late January bull market. I would even say that we're slightly better than this because we are staying in there, whilst the late January bull market was 2 big spikes of volume, but with a big crash in between them. I would even go as far as saying that we're in a more bullish state than in the late December bull market, because again, there the spikes were followed by crashes, whilst right now we're hanging in there, and Yuga Labs doesn't seem to be stopping with the news. And so things are people are getting very excited, and the Ape token probably did bring some liquidity from the crypto world because it had actually a really strong start despite the really stupid articles that people have written about it. every ICO always has this kind of like sort of pattern of like high volatility, and I don't know if you saw the mainstream press reports about the Ape coin launch, but they mostly talked about how it slid from $40 to $8, when actually that $40 price was just a spike due to like it was in the first minute or something. It didn't really count. Hopefully not too many people bought that spike. And plus it actually looks like, I mean, I haven't checked it just recently, but I believe it, like last I looked, it was around $15 or so. So it's kind of rising steadily, probably getting more and more attention from the crypto space with this, which is likely going to bring more money into the NFT space, which then could lead to this, you know, sort of continuing to hang out here and then maybe rising some more. If that does happen, rather than a crash back down and sort of like going back here, if it does stay around here, it will basically be as bullish as back in August, which would be very impressive. And at this point, looking at this, like, you know, with my thesis that the top 10 tends to lead the market, I expect that this is going to lead to a boom, like even by itself, even if it does come crashing down, I think there's going to be waves all around the NFT market. But if it does continue going up, which is also plausible, because I don't think Yuga Labs are doing this like, you know, by mistake. I think they know exactly what they're doing, and what they're doing is they're releasing more news on a regular basis. That, like, you know, first the CryptoPunks acquisition, then the ApeCoin release, then this video about this other world thing, and I imagine they have a release schedule that's going to just keep driving attention to the NFT space. And if they do, which seems plausible to me, this kind of stuff is going to keep happening. So actually my title for the podcast, which was Yuga Labs Forever, which was kind of a joke at the end that maybe we just got like 6 months of Yuga Labs news ahead of us. Who knows? I might be closer to the truth than I expected when I made that joke. So yeah. So based on this, my strategy is now that I'm expecting things to go up. So projects that I want to buy into, I am going to be buying into. So obviously you should make your own strategic decisions, like, you know, this is your trading strategy, but that's where I'm going. If we look at this one, and actually let's compare, because I've got, as I said, I've done one with and without, and here we've got without the top 10 and with the top 10. So as we can see, the Zeneca old with and without the top 10 is actually more or less the same thing. It doesn't change very much. It turns out the top 10 doesn't influence it very much. So I was wrong about my assertion that it doesn't, it is not going well without the top 10. That being said, Bored Ape Kennel Club is in there, so that would also drive it, and drive the volumes from because of the Yuga Labs pump. With that being said, whichever one we look at, even without the top 10, we can see a kind of, really positive situation where it's, if we compare it, it's still not at boom times. We're still kind of hanging out at bear levels. But again, I believe that with the top 10 pumping so much, we are going back to this. We are going back to bull levels. If we include the top 10 in there, it is actually above bear times. It's not quite bulls, but it's rising. So it looks optimistic, whichever one you look at, with or without. So I'm going to keep using the with, because I think that's the one that we've gotten used to, and I don't see a good reason to change it if there's not that much difference. If we look then at the new projects in Zeneca new projects index, that is looking quite nice. It's broken its downtrend for now. It's broken above the 30-day SMA. So this downtrend maybe is coming to an end, and we're sort of like breaking above, and we might start to go up like this. Now, bear in mind, again, here we're at levels of activity well below the bear market of October, November, December. So that's even though this is like this is just pumped. It looks very dramatic on the short-term charts, this pump, but in the bigger context, it's still we're still at very low volumes. So there's a lot more to come and a lot more growth to come in that index, assuming that we are heading into a bull market. Finally, if we have a glance at the women-led projects index, even that one is getting a bit of activity, and it's broken past the 7-day SMA. Like there's always a dip just before this report. There's usually a dip just before this report, so it's not that surprising that there is one there. But is it going to go like start rising? Maybe. Like if we're heading into a bull market, then I expect the women-led projects index to also rise in response, because it is a segment that will attract attention as well, I believe. So yeah, I mean, like we can't really call it past the downtrend yet. There's still like it needs to do better than what is done. Like, you know, we can draw I can't really draw a straight line very well, but we can draw a sort of reasonable line here and see that we're not out of the woods yet, as Ben Cohen would put it. But it's looking better than it was when it was just sort of sliding into the garbage. So that's nice. That's it for these charts for now. If we have a glance at the where is it? The trading view here. Let me just arrange my things here. Right. So we can see that crypto is still basically being boring, which is ideal. We can see that Ethereum is also, well, is a little bit stronger than Bitcoin, but still relatively boring. So as long as that remains, which, you know, if it stays in this triangle, it could be until mid-April, like somewhere around there is usually where it starts breaking out. So, you know, we might have until mid-April without, that is like a month, without crypto doing anything interesting. And with Yuga Labs releasing news after news after news. I mean, that's my speculation. I don't know what Yuga Labs has in store. But if that is what they're going to do, then it will have an impact. And I think it will continue to drive that top 10 index up, or at least help it stay here. And even if it just stays where it is now, that is a bull market, basically. So that's why I've kind of turned the dot green, because it would be, as much as I am concerned that, you know, this is dependent on Yuga Labs continuing to sort of pump the news, it would be very biased not to recognize this as a bullish place to be. I'm getting towards the end of my rant here, so and we're 18 minutes in. There's not that many people dialed in today. I guess it's a Saturday, and at least over here it's sunny, so maybe people are going out instead of looking at crypto or NFTs. But if you have any questions, please do write them down, post them, and I'll do my best to answer. And if you are tuning in just for the updates, then you can probably tune out now. Yeah, let me put some music on again, and while waiting for a question, and I'll see if I can think of something else to rant about. And I think it's interesting that Yuga Labs have included other projects in their plans. Thanks, Bahamu. Somebody complimented me on my new PFP from the Cool World, which used to be known as Cool Kevin project, which goes to show, as I said at the time, like, you know, good things can come out of weird degen projects like Kevin Derived, and that's why I don't like to, you know, shit on projects too much, like individual projects, because even with rather humble beginnings, they can come up with really cool stuff, and we'll see. I have no idea. I haven't looked into. Somebody's asked, what do you think of Cool World's whitelist burn mechanic? I have no idea. I haven't looked into it. I just got tweeted the PFP, and this is the first time that somebody's made a one-of-one of me, so I thought, you know, I'd be remiss not to adopt it as my PFP and wear the scarf to celebrate. The scarf might become a bit of an issue as the weather gets hotter, but I think we've got a few months before that, so not too much worrying on that. But yeah, so it's interesting to me that Yuga Labs is not just focusing on their own project, but they're focusing on the, like, it feels to me like they're aware of the dynamics of the market and how it can't just be Yuga Labs, otherwise it doesn't look good for the market if it's just one company that's doing well and everything else is going down the drain. And so they bought CryptoPunks, which was the one that was just not doing well, and then they've included those other projects in their video today, and that's that seems bullish to me in terms of their willingness to include the rest of the market in their path to success. So they're not just looking at themselves. It's definitely more of the WAGMI perspective at play there, rather than just a sort of self-centered focus on just our project and then the others can all go and die. So I like that. Any other questions? At some point I will run out of things to rant about. I suppose it's interesting to note that the price here is also going up really, really quickly. So it's not waiting. I mean, there's a slight gap. It actually went down here very briefly. That was probably because that was because of the sellout that happened after the ape token was claimed. But then it sort of continued up, and is doing so relatively rapidly. So for this bull market, my thesis that there's a delay between the price and the volume is somewhat blown out. They seem to happen pretty much in sync. And I still think the volume is a good indicator to look at. Like, it gives clearer, to me it seems clearer than just looking at the price, which doesn't show as much. Yeah. What projects are you looking to buy into now that the market appears to be recovering? Well, primarily I like to mint new projects rather than buy old projects, buy existing projects. But there were a few projects that I've been sort of considering buying more of, particularly the ones that have been heavily affected by the bear market, but where I don't think that's warranted because I know that the project is really solid. So Meta Angels is one. I just bought 3 this morning, because they were in my price range of below 0.2, and I was like, okay, price range is hit and it looks like we're heading into a bull market, so fuck it, I'll buy it. And I might buy some more, we'll see. I've placed some offers as well. I don't know if they'll be accepted if people think that the market's about to get more bullish, because they were definitely under the floor. I'll turn down the music, thank you. In fact, I'll turn off the music. Thanks for pointing that out. I can't tell that from here. Somebody just pointed out the music was a bit loud. So yeah, so Meta Angels is one. I'm sort of considering buying more of Zen Academy, because I think that will do well because it's a solid community, and I think in the bear market, in the bull market, is going to do better. I've been thinking about Curious Addies as well, because again, it's a team that's continuing to work on a project that's just delivering value, and I believe it's undervalued by the market. You can find more of my investments and stuff in my transparency report, which is linked underneath. So are there new projects that I'm looking to buy into, as in on the secondary? Not really. There's projects I wish I bought into, but I haven't. There's not. I haven't yet encountered my next Meta Angels type investment or Crypto Coven style investment. But I'm looking forward to Meta Angels and Crypto Coven taking off in this bull market once it properly picks up. Okay, so 24 minutes in, there's no more questions, it seems. It is a small crowd today. So I guess we'll end shortly. I'll put the music back on. And Thank you very much, everybody, for dialing in or for listening to this after the fact. I hope you have a lovely day and enjoy whatever it is that's going to happen. And remember, we'll be able to see what's going on the charts quite easily, whether I'm correct about my assertions or not, and what actually is happening. Because there's actually one point worth making as I leave. If it comes crashing back down like this, if we're looking at these stats, we'll know that actually no, there's no bull market right now. But knowing what usually happens on Twitter is people will still be talking about a bull market even as the volumes collapse. So the charts are very helpful for that. That's why I created them in the first place. So thank you. Have a lovely day. Take care and see you tomorrow.